springs to life. All right, my peeps, I wanted to talk a little bit today about insurance, good and bad. What happened to me was back in October of 2016, Hurricane Matthew came through. As a result of that, my main house was flooded 3 feet, and I lost 3 cars in that same incident. Now, the home insurance that I had, I was not in a flood zone, so I had flood insurance even though I didn't have to. Another home that I have, it is in a flood zone, and I have to have flood insurance on it, so of course I do. I wasn't too worried about it as far as, I hope this is covered kind of thing. I knew it would be covered. So sure enough, contacted the insurance company and spoke with them. Sure enough, it's fine, I'm covered, all that. Adjuster comes out, he does his thing. The numbers are pretty much what I figured, so I'm in full agreement with what he's telling me. But where the little caveat comes in, I'm sure like most of us, I have a mortgage on the home. So all of the checks get made out to me and the mortgage company and whomever is going to be repairing the home, whatever contractor it is. Well, the mortgage company is really just kind of horrible at letting me know exactly what documents I need to be getting to them and when I need to be getting them to them. It's nothing special pertaining to just my incident. It's something that they have to do for all of the claims that they may have. So you would think they would be able to tell you, oh, you're going to need this, 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 and this, before we can send you any money. My mortgage company just sucks, and I'm going to be looking to get rid of them. But at any rate, I think it's in the process, but it's not. It drags on for 4 or 5 weeks. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I really should have gotten some money by now, I would have thought, So I call them. And they're like, yeah, no, we haven't sent you a check because you didn't send us this and this document. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know to send you those documents? Oh, well, it should be in the list of documents that you need to send us. I'm like, well, didn't get that list. So then they send me over a list. Long story short on this one, it happens one more time after this, because the list that they sent me for the documents, apparently it doesn't have all the documents on it. It just has a few that you need to send them, and then they reserve the right to, request more documents whenever they feel like it, and cause delays in you getting your money and your home fixed. Moving on to the cars. Like I said, had 3 cars that were flooded. 2015 WRX, 2014 Nissan GTR, and a 1987 Buick Grand National. The Buick Grand National had specialty insurance on it, declared value. So I contact them. They asked me how high the water got in the car. I told them over the bottom of the seat where you sit. He said, yep, it's totaled, and we'll start processing it and send a truck to pick it up and give you your check for it. I said, okay. Well, this goes on for about a month and a half, and I finally do get a check from them, and kind of move on from there with it. Now, the company that I had the insurance with, their name is LeLand West, and and I'm not really sure how long I had been with them, probably 4 or 5 years, maybe longer, I'm not sure. But basically, I tell them after, everything's been settled and all that, I tell them, hey, I've got a couple of other cars that I'd like to have insurance put on. They're like, okay, well, send us, 6, 8, 10 pictures of each car from these angles, and picture of your garage, and blah, 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 and this and that. And I'm like, I really didn't have to do this the last time, so what's the problem now? And they're like, well, you should have had to do that the last time. I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't. I sent 5 pictures and that was it. There wasn't all this, send us a list of all the mods and, tell us how much it's all worth and all of this. Because my thing is, it's declared value. What's it matter what you think it's worth? It should just be whatever value I think the car is worth, and as long as I'm willing to pay the premium, that should be it. The girl on the other end of the phone, she says, hey, I'm just going to send this to underwriters and go from there. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sounds great, let's get this done. Well, it's not an hour later, she emails me that they declined me due to the recent flood claim. I'm like, wow, a flood claim gets you declined? That doesn't even seem normal or right. You have no control over that. It's not like you went out speeding around and crashed into a telephone pole. So, the heck with them. I'm going to go with Hagerty. So, call up Hagerty, on the phone with them for probably 30 minutes. I tell the girl on the phone, hey, I've had this claim, three cars. She's like, wow, 3 cars, huh? I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me what happened. I'm like, well, the hurricane came through, my house got flooded, my garage got flooded, all 3 cars got flooded. She's like, oh, well, that wouldn't matter. That's an act of God. I'm like, oh, that's kind of what I thought too. Okay, sounds great. I'll go ahead and send this over to underwriters. We've got to have you pay first, and then we'll send it over and see if it's approved. I said, okay, no problem. So I, paid them the money, and it was probably maybe 18 hours later, I had insurance, and it was done. The insurance that I got with Hagerty was better than the insurance that I had with LeLand West, and it was slightly cheaper. At the end of the day, I ended up getting better insurance, slightly cheaper, and without all the headaches and hassles of dealing with LeLand West. Back to the other 2 cars. So we've got the WRX and the Nissan GTR. They're both with Geico. Geico sends an adjuster out. He comes out, looks at the WRX, does his little inspection thing on it, whatever. And he's like, yeah, it's totaled. I'll work up the numbers for you and we'll email it over. I'm like, okay, sounds great. So open up the garage. He gets in there and he commences to tell me that, he's looking at the GTR and he says, hey, this is a stage 3 flood car. Well, I don't know what the hell stage 3 is. I don't have a damn clue. So I'm like, what's stage 3? He's like, well, stage 3 is, it's repairable. We can repair this car. I'm like, really? The water was just below the dash. I mean, touching it. He's like, yeah, I can see the line here on it, you know. But yeah, this, you know, we can just fix it, you know, clean it up, fix it for you, and, you know, have it back to you. I'm like, oh, okay, well, how much do you think that'll be? He's like, well, you know, I'll work it up and I'll email it over to you. I'm like, all right, you know, this guy's on it. You know, he's sharp with it. He's gonna do up the numbers and send them over. That's what I like, you know. Well, it's a couple of hours. You know, it's 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever it is. I get the email, and it says that the cost to fix the car is about $1,200 and something. I'm like, there's no way that $1,200 and something is going to fix this car. So I decide, well, you know, I'll call his boss, you know, try to talk with whoever that is. So I call into Geico, get his boss. She gets on the phone. Instantly, she's kind of put out by me wanting to talk to her. So she's rather condescending to me, and you know, I'm like, whatever. Let's just work through this. She's like, you know, what seems to be the problem? I said, listen, you know, your adjuster there is telling me it's going to be about $1,200 and something to fix my car. I said, there's no way. I said, that's an impossibility. And you know, she's like, well, what makes you think that? I said, well, you know, I said the interior alone is probably $7,000 to $10,000 for the interior in the car. She's like, sir, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm like, wow, okay. She's like, I've got your paperwork here in front of me, and I'm looking at it. And if it is even real leather in that car, it wouldn't be but about $750. I'm like, wow, if it's real leather, okay, $750. Man, I'm thinking to myself, boy, Nissan really took me for a ride. They ripped me off for that leather interior because I paid way more than $750 for it. And you know, but I'm like, hey, you know, whatever. Let's just move on. You know, I said, ma'am, you know, be that as it may, you know, I said, you know, the car's brakes are damaged at this point. It's going to probably need, you know, new pads, maybe calipers. I don't know, you know. I said, but, you know, that's probably, and that's as far as I got. She's like, sir, I'm going to stop you right there again. I said, okay. All right, what you got? She's like, sir, brakes get wet. When you drive down the road, brakes get wet. I'm like, you're right. Brakes do get wet. Although I'm thinking to myself in my head, well, the car's never been in the rain, but that's irrelevant because she's right. Brakes do get wet when you drive down the road, but they don't set in the wet for almost 2 weeks. I think that's the difference. But I didn't argue with her. I just said, yep, you know, you are 100% right. I am so sorry to have wasted your time here today. And she's like, no problem. That's what I'm here for. I said, all right, you know, hang up the phone with her. Well, my wife's looking at me like I got two damn heads. She's like, you know, really? You're not saying anything about that? I was like, nope. I was like, I'm not going to sit on the phone and argue with an idiot. I said, there's no need. She's ignorant to what they're looking at and what they're dealing with. They have no clue. So I go home. Well, about 2.5 hours later, I get a phone call. It's the adjuster. He says that his boss's boss contacted him and told him to call me and let me know that the car was totaled. I'm like, okay, that's should have happened, you know, days ago, but whatever. And that they're going to put together a figure to settle the car with me. I said, all right. So they called me back. It takes them, it takes them about 2 or 3 weeks, because they had to come and pick the car up because you couldn't read the odometer. So they had to send it somewhere, and they had to plug into it and get the mileage off of it, and all this crazy stuff. Any rate, so about 2 or 3 weeks later, the adjuster calls me. He's like, hey, I'm gonna send over the final paperwork on this. We just got to get you to sign off on it. And they sent me this thing for like $62,000. I'm like, yep, nope, that ain't happening. I was like, y'all are on crack. I'm not taking $62,000 for the car. It had 6,100 miles on it. It's like, I'm not doing that. I said, the car's pristine. It's like brand new. He's like, well, I'll have to send it to whoever, and they'll have to decide if we're gonna, settle out with more for you, and blah 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 and all this. I'm like, cool, whatever. I'm waiting. Let's get it done. So it's about another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. They contact me back. They've gone up a little bit with it. Not much, but a little bit. I'm like, nope, it's not going to happen, guys. That's not the number. The car is worth far more than that. I don't know what you're looking at to try to give me a price on the car, but whatever it is, not correct. So finally, it was about a week later, they finally come back with a number, and it's a number that I can live with. It was a little bit lower than what I was hoping to have gotten for it, but not much, so I could live with it. But it took from about October, probably 12th or 13th, all the way until December 3rd. Yep, that's how long it took. And it took that long on 2 of them, the Buick and the GTR. The WRX, it took about a month. So is quick, I guess as quick as they can do it is roughly a month. And I know during that time they were overwhelmed. I mean, there was tons and tons of claims here, there, and everywhere. I get it. But it didn't make the process any easier for me, that's for sure. And maybe in the future all these companies will work out a better way to do all of this. I don't know. And I don't know what the answer would be. But certainly, if any of you have an idea on that, leave it in the comments down below. If you've had your own story, hey, leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it, because I can only imagine, my story with it all is not that crazy. Yeah, it took a long time. Ultimately, in the end, it worked out, but I'm sure some people just have some just unbelievable stories with the insurance companies just not paying, or mortgage companies not releasing their money to them. I can only imagine. But hey, if you like the video, hit the like button. I appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out a lot. Leave a comment down below, and that's it for this video. I'll see you all in the next one.